Hello, church. Today I'd like to share something with you that I've shared with quite a few people, so if you've heard it before, please forgive me. But the reason I'm thinking of this is because we have so many young families in our church. And although we don't have any children in the home anymore, it seems like not too long ago we did. And so it's on the issue of raising children in the sight of God. And I think of Proverbs 22:6 that says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." Well, this general principle laid out in Proverbs is true. And I would urge you to, as parents, involve your children in discussions that pertain to God. And Benjamin Franklin said that example was the best sermon, and maybe the best means as parents that we can act and show them and teach them about God in a way that the church and even a good sermon can't. So I would say let your children see your relationship with God. Involve them in prayer, because when God answers prayer and they've been praying, it'll be a huge faith builder. And I would say use the Bible to show that relationships and love and restoration are something that should bear on family life. I can remember many times having to discipline, especially my son, and explain to him from the Bible why I had to do it. Not that I wanted to do it, but this was what was important for God so that he could become the person that God wanted him to be. And I would also just encourage you to speak of God and involve God in every relationship in your family so that your children can see your faith, because your children will model things that you do, whether good or bad. So what I wanted to share with you is a book, and I believe my mom picked this up many years ago. It's called The Life of General Washington with Curious Anecdotes. And as many of you know, Washington was the first president of our country. And no, I wasn't there to vote for him. But this book was printed in 1809. So that makes it over 200 years old. And it was written by Reverend Mason L. Weems. And it shares the story. I'll just pick it up after the part you probably know about, which is where George chopped down the cherry tree. Presently George and his hatchet made their appearance. "George," said his father, "do you know who killed that beautiful little cherry tree yonder in the garden?" This was a tough question, and George staggered under it for a moment, but quickly recovered himself, and looking at his father with the sweet face of a young, brightened with the inexpressible charm of all-conquering truth, he bravely cried out, "I can't tell a lie, Pa. You know I can't tell a lie. I did cut it with my hatchet." "Run to my arms, you dearest boy," cried his father. "Run to my arms. Glad am I, George, that you killed my tree, for you have paid me for it 1,000-fold. Such an act of heroism is, my son, more worth than 1,000 trees, though blossomed with silver, and their fruits of purest gold." It was in this way, by interesting at once both his heart and his head, that Mr. Washington conducted George with great ease and pleasure along the happy paths of virtue. But well knowing that his beloved charge, soon to be a man, would be left exposed to numberless temptations, both from himself and others, his heart throbbed, and the tenderest anxiety to make him acquainted with that great being, whom to know and love is to possess the surest defense against vice, and the best of all motives to virtue and happiness. To startle George into a lively sense of his Maker, he fell upon the following very curious but impressive expedient. One day he went into the garden and prepared a little bed of finely pulverized earth, on which he wrote George's name in full in large letters. Then, strewing in plenty of cabbage seed, he covered them up and smoothed them over nicely with the roller. This bed he purposely prepared close alongside of the gooseberry walk, which, happening at this time to be well hung with ripe fruit, he knew would be honored with George's visits pretty regularly every day. Not many mornings had passed away before in came George with eyes wild, rolling, and his little cheeks ready to burst with great news. "Oh, Pa, come here, come here." "What's the matter, my son? What's the matter?" "Oh, come here, I tell you, Pa, come here, and I'll show you such a sight as you never saw in all your lifetime." The old gentleman, suspecting that what George would be at, handed his hand, which he seized with great eagerness, and tugging him along through the garden, led him up to the point blank to the bed, whereupon inscribed in large letters and in all freshness of newly sprung plants, the full name of George Washington. "There, Pa," said George, quite in an ecstasy of astonishment. "Did you ever see such a sight in all your lifetime? Why, it seems like a curious affair, sure enough, George. But, Pa, who did make it there? Who did make it there?" "It grew there by chance, I suppose, son." "By chance, Pa? Oh, no, it never did grow there by chance, Pa. Indeed, it never did." "Hi, why not, my son?" "Why, Pa, did you ever see anybody's name in a plant bed before?" "Well, but George, such a thing might happen, though you never saw it before." "Yes, Pa, but I did never see the little plants grow up as to make one single letter of my name. Now, how could they grow up as to make all the letters of my name, and then standing one after another to spell my name so exactly, and also neat and even too, at top and bottom? Oh, Pa, you must not say chance did all this. Indeed, somebody did it. And I dare say now, Pa, you did it, just to scare me, because I am your little boy." His father smiled and said, "Well, George, you have guessed it right. I indeed did it, but not to scare you, my son, but to learn you a great thing, which I wish you to understand. I want, my son, to introduce you to your true father." "Hi, Pa, ain't you my true father, that has loved me and been so good to me always?" "Yes, George, I am your father, as the world calls it, and I love you very dearly, too. But yet with all my love for you, George, I am but a poor, good-for-nothing sort of father in comparison of one you have." "Aye, I know well enough who you mean, Pa. You mean God Almighty, don't you?" "Yes, my son, I mean him indeed. He is your true father, George." "But, Pa, where is God Almighty? I never did see him yet." "True, my son, but though you never saw him, yet he is always with you. You did not see me when 10 days ago I made this little plant bed where you see your name in such beautiful green letters, but though you did not see me here, yet you know I was here." "Yes, Pa, that I do. I know you was here." "Well, then, as my son could not believe the chance that had made and put together so exactly the letters of his name, though only 16, then how can he believe that chance would have made and put together all these millions and millions of things that are now so exactly fitted for his good? That my son may look at everything around him and see what fine eyes he has got, what a little pug nose to smell the sweet flowers, and pretty ears to hear sweet sounds, and a lovely mouth for his bread and butter, and oh, the little ivory teeth to cut it for him, and the dear little tongue to prattle with his father, and precious little hands and fingers to hold his playthings, and beautiful little feet for him to run about upon. And when my little rogue of a son is tired with running about, then the still night comes for him to lie down, and his mother sings, and the little crickets chirp him to sleep. And as soon as he has slept enough, he jumps up fresh and strong as a little buck. There the sweet golden light is ready for him. When he looks down into the water, there he sees the beautiful silver fishes for him. And up in the trees there are apples and peaches and thousands of sweet fruits for him. And all around him, wherever my dear boy looks, he sees everything just to his wants and wishes. The bubbling springs, the cool sweet water for him to drink, and the wood to make him sparkling fires when he is cold, and beautiful horses for him to ride, and strong oxen to work for him, and the good cows to give him milk, and bees to make sweet honey for his sweeter mouth, and the little lambs with snowy wool for beautiful clothes for him. Now these and all these 10,000 other good things, more than my son can ever think of, and all so exactly fitted to his use and delight. Now how could chance ever have done all this for my little son? Oh, George! He would have gone on, but George, who had hung upon his father's words with looks and eyes of all-devouring attention, here broke out, "Oh, Pa, that's enough, that's enough. It can't be chance, indeed it can't be chance, that made and gave me all these things." "What was it then, do you think, my son?" "Indeed, Pa, I don't know, unless it was God Almighty." "Yes, George, He it was, my son, and nobody else." "Well, but Pa," continued George, "does God Almighty give me everything? Don't you give me some things, Pa?" "I give you something indeed." "Oh, how can I give you anything, George? I who have nothing on earth that I can call my own, not even my own breath I draw." "Hi, Pa, isn't that great big house your house, and this garden, and the horses yonder, and oxen and sheep and trees and everything? Isn't it all yours, Pa?" "Oh, no, my son, no. Why, you make me shrink into nothing, George, when you talk of all these belonging to me, who can't even make a grain of sand. Oh, how could I, my son, have given life to those great oxen and horses when I can't give life even to a fly? No, for if the poorest fly were killed, it is not your father, George, nor all the men in the world that could ever make him alive again." At this, George fell into a profound silence, while his pensive looks showed that his youthful soul was laboring with some idea never felt before. Perhaps it was at that moment that the good Spirit of God engrafted on his heart that germ of piety which filled his life with so many precious fruits of morality. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I thought it was a good springtime story, and just an admonition to us as parents to show our kids who God is and how much He loves them. Thank you, church.